attention. Now, this is going to be volume 1 of a 2-volume presentation. It's not a part 1 or part 2. This is, there are going to be 2 different Trainmasters that caught my attention on eBay. So there will be 2 different presentations. This is going to be the first one because this was the first to be delivered. So this is an Athearn Blue Box H24-66 Trainmaster in Norfolk and Western livery. Everything is intact. The stanchions, the railings, the couplers. Well, yeah, well, the rear coupler is in the box. But everything is intact. Nothing is damaged. It even came with the paperwork, and looking underneath, it looks like there's a gold motor, and I even believe I saw the gold motor in the description. Now, what attracted me to this locomotive? Not just because it was a Trainmaster, but listen to the description. Tested and runs rough. Stutters a bit. Some sparks from wheels. Will need some TLC. Lightworks is dusty and a bit dirty. Could use a good cleaning. Comes in original box with manual. When I saw that, it said project. So I reached out to the seller because it was a buy it now price. The shipping was reasonable, but I reached out to the seller and I said, "Do you accept offers?" Because there was no best offer option. And the seller said, "Sure, make me an offer. I'll consider it." If it's not, I didn't want to lowball the guy, but I made him a reasonable offer, and he accepted it. And a few days later, here she is. So, well, she came a few days ago, but, my work schedule has been kicking my butt lately, and there was 1 or 2 other projects I wanted to clear off my table so that I could get to this girl. Now, give me a few moments to switch angles so that you could see what she looks like on the test track. So, here we are in the test track. I've got the power pack on, throttle in the forward direction, and I'm going to try and zoom in so maybe you could see the sparks and see how slow this thing goes. Here we go. Forward. And she doesn't want to go in reverse. Come on. Forward. And reverse. Maybe, I'm not sure if you can see the sparks. But we definitely have our work cut out for us. So, let's begin. Alright, I've got my containers here. This is where we're going to put the shell in. We're going to take the shell, slotted screwdriver, and there's like a little notchy thing right over here. That's where I'm going to place this slotted screwdriver and lift up the shell. Put the shell in here. Pop off the couplers. Put them in here. That's fine. And looky here. Well, the previous owner well, looks like the previous owner already did a lot of my work as far as soldering the terminals, soldering the wires to the gear towers. This solder, of course, went to the headlight. I don't even see. It looks like the original headlight. What is this? It is electrical tape. Or some sort of tape. It's right around all over the motor clip. But I'm going to remove this wire, because this wire was soldered from the motor clip to the light bracket. We're going to get rid of that. Now, do we want to play nice, Mr. Light Bracket? Or are you going to play hard to get? Come out of the housing. Well, first things first, let's desolder this wire. Alright, that's off. And now we want to get the light bracket off. And I'm going to take an X-Acto knife. She feels a little wobbly, which means there's always the danger that the light bracket could always come off. Alright, give me a second. Alright, so the bracket housing came off. That's no worry. We'll just super glue that back on when we're ready. And this is a very interesting assembly, but get that off. And what the hey? Bye. And this is what we're looking for, because we're going to use this to put an LED on. I'll set that in the shell. Now, down to the main meat. I'm going to go ahead and desolder the I'm going to desolder each gear tower so that I could get into each gear tower. Fortunately, the orientation is correct. Motor doesn't look too bad. There is some oxidation on the commutator, but we'll soon sort that out. And just going to remove the solder over here. We'll keep the solder. That's off. And whoever the previous owner was, they really went to town on the solder. Alright, that's off. So now I could get into each gear tower, and yeah. So when we're going to put everything back together, we're going to put an LED over here on the cab end of the locomotive, and we're going to put an LED here. We're going to put an LED on the long hood end. We're going to solder a wire from the top of the rear gear tower and the motor clip over here. So let's get into each gear tower. The gear worms appear to be, oh, I'm sorry. The gear worms appear to be in pretty good condition, a little dry. Could do a little cleaning, a little lubrication. Front gear tower is off. And now let's get to the rear gear tower. Make sure that you always have something covering the gear tower cover, the clip rather, so that it doesn't fly off into oblivion. Slotted screwdriver underneath like so. That is off. Gear worm appears to be in good condition. A little dry, but now the motor. The motor mounts appear to be good. So just gonna take Allen key screw head and go in and pop them out. Motor mounts have pretty good elasticity. Yeah, they're good. So there's that motor. We'll take care of that shortly. There's a little dirt. Or is that just... Oh, the metal strip at the bottom of the frame could use a little TLC. Grab the bright boy. Polish it up. Right. That's all better. We'll put this into the same container as the shell. Now, I want to get into the gear tower. This is the front gear tower. Off comes that clip. And always go in from above. Go in from above, not below. You go in from here, you risk cracking this cover. And it's not like, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, it's not like you can use any ordinary 6-axle motor clip, axle cover, because it's different for a Trainmaster. And like so. Hey, that's not nice. We're supposed to take you off, and you're not supposed to snap back on. Bingo, bango, bongo. Cover appears dry. I do see some hair. Now, again, I'm being careful so that I don't mess up the gears orientation. Side is relatively dry. I do see a trace amount of lubrication. There is some hair action. Well, aside from the slight hairs, the gears look in fine shape. When I saw that it was like that, when I saw that it was running slow, I said to myself, "Don't tell me they put Ernst gears into this beautiful beast." But I'm wrong. It's just, you know, hairs. And it's dry. There's like no lubrication whatsoever. Now, in other videos I mentioned about the orientation of gears and wheels. With an Athearn the orientation of the axles do not matter when it comes to blue boxes. With the gears, how you find the gears is orientated and placed is important to me and maybe a few others. There's a slight lubrication, but where sometimes I would see 3, 6, 9, and 12, I only see 12. That was how I found the gear. There's no marking on this gear, and there's no marking on this gear. And here's the other half of the gear of the front gear tower. It's fine. It looks like it was there was some lubrication, but not a lot. We're just gonna go ahead and clean everything. Axles appear, pardon me, axles appear fine. Some oxidation. I'll clean that off with the steel brush attached to the rotary wheel. Axles appear fine. No signs of cracking. Just a little creeping crud and some oxidation. So I'll go ahead and clean these off camera, and I'm going to put the gear tower back together. And when I do put the gear tower back together, I'm going to be using good old red lithium. And I'll go, and then following that, I'll go ahead and attack the rear gear tower. So I'll be back in a bit, and unless if I find some unexpected surprise in the rear gear tower. But hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, so I've already cleaned both gear towers. There's some red lithium in the gears and on the trucks, and they are running pretty good on the track, on the test track that is. But this is the rear gear tower. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I have tinned the top of the rear gear tower because this is where I'm going to be putting a wire for the rear LED. And so with all that done, we can move on to the motor. And we're going to be very careful, as always, when it comes to the motor, because underneath are on top of the commutator is the brush, and on top of the commutator, covered by each motor clip, oh wow, that's clean, is a spring. So we want to be ever so careful. Let's go bottom first. So I'm reaching with the slotted screwdriver right at the clip, and I got my thumb over the over the clip, and the clip just came up. Off comes the spring from its housing, and I have the spring in one of the tines of the tweezers. This is the best way to grasp and handle the spring. I'm going to put that right over there. And looking inside the motor, I see the brush with a slot facing me. Turn this over. Come out. Thank you. So we want to put when we're done cleaning the brush, we want it to put with the unslotted end first. Clean it with the bright boy. Nice and shiny. Put it back in. And then put the spring back in. Now, look. This is how you want to handle the spring. Because if you were to handle it, if you had it in between the tines, or if you handled it with your fingers, there's a risk of launch into outer space. And we put the clip back on with the rear of the clip on first, and then the front, and we got our fingers right over the end where the spring is, and it snaps back in. Polish the clip and fry up the clips just a little bit so that there's a maximum contact with the metal strip that's on the frame of the locomotive. And now I'm going to take care of the top motor clip. Again, grasping the spring. Here's our brush. Uh-oh. Ah, no, you don't. Gotcha. All right. The brushes are cleaned. And now I am ready to take care of the commutator. So before I do that, I'm going to grab a toothpick, go in between the plates of the commutator to clean up the oxidation. And the oxidation may have also been the reason why the eBayers said that when tested, the wheels were sparking, because there was. Right, sorry for the interruption. So I've already applied air tool oil to the shafts here. Well, I'm not going to overdo it. Here, and over here. given that just a wee bit of polish over here, there may be enough solder on here to attach the LED light wires. So now it's time to take care of the commutator, and I've already removed the oxidation. So where am I? So I've got my WD-40 Specialist Contact Cleaner. I have one lead connected to the top clip, the other lead connected to the bottom clip. Contact. I'm not sure if you've heard it go just a little faster, and this is at 30% throttle. Magnificent. All right. We got that sorted. So now, let's begin the rebuild. Okay. So, this is what I've done. And my camera has other thoughts. So, everything is reassembled. Flywheel's back in place. Motor is remounted. The gear towers are fully reassembled. Oh, what's that? Ah. Yep. Gear towers are firmly assembled into place. Now, over here, right, so this is the front of the locomotive this way. This way is the front of the locomotive. This is the rear gear tower. As you recall, I soldered something over here so that I could solder the connection for the rear light over here. The black wire has been soldered to the rear end of the motor clip. Heat shrink tube wrapped around the motor clip. The connection from the motor clip to the gear tower, and the other connection for the LED light. And over here, we have the LED light in the light bracket. We have the black wire soldered underneath the light bracket. We have the red wire in the heat shrink tube over the with the front motor wire clip. So let's give it a test. I'm going to flip her around. Hold on. So here's forward. And here's reverse. Here is forward. And here is reverse. So, I'm going to take this to the layout because it'll probably need a little more time to stretch its legs. Hold on. Well, like I said, she needed to stretch her legs. She's running pretty nice. Current draw and voltage are pretty good, considering that I have it on 65% throttle. So, while she runs for a few more minutes to stretch her legs, I'm going to go ahead and clean the shell. Well, she looks good with the new lights. Let's see it in reverse. Alright, I'm ready to see her pull some cars. Stay tuned. Well, as you could see for yourself, this girl can pull quite the consist. And I guess I am going to have points deducted from me for not having a caboose, but, you know, it is what it is. Let's pretend there's a thread at the end of this train. Well, I'm calling this one restoration down, or rather one restoration of two Trainmasters down. I got another one to go. And in the meantime, I'd like to thank all my subscribers for their continued support. If you are not a subscriber, there is a link in the bottom right hand corner and at the end of this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and thank you so much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.